Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, we take a look back at Paul Stanley's 1978 solo album. Make sure you check out episodes 69, 70, and 71, where we also took a look back at Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, and Gene Simmons albums as well. During this episode, we'll discuss what we like and don't like about Paul's album. Yes, as great as this album is, there are a few things that in our opinions we don't like. We look forward to your feedback and comments as well. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. Now, without further ado, let's get started with our conversation about the 1978 Paul Stanley solo album. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. I'm excited to have back with me on the show one more time, my good pal, my partner in crime, Mr. Vincent LaRussa. How you doing today, buddy?
Now you said one more time. Is this my last show?
I'll have to decide at the end of this what goes on.
All right. See how my performance is.
That's right. Exactly. When I say one more time, that's because today we're on to discuss the 78 Paul Stanley solo album. And we've already at this point released our conversations about Ace Frehley, solo album of 78, Peter Criss, and Gene Simmons. So this is the fourth in the series. And we'll do one more after this, right? We'll wrap it up in a nice bow, kind of comparing all the albums. Usually what we try to do on each of these is we try to keep the conversation specific and direct to the specific album we're talking about. In this case, the classic 78 Stanley album, right? So that's what I mean when I say one more time.
Now that the disclaimer's out there,
that's exactly.
Oh, see what I did there?
Oh, you're on your A game already, right?
For a Sunday morning with very little sleep, that's a minor miracle.
There you go. So let's just jump right in, right? So I think both of us, as most Kiss fans, we love this album. So this will be a fun and probably a pretty easy conversation to have, right? But 78 solo album, Paul. Do you remember when you first got this? When you first heard it? What do you remember?
Well, I never first got the record. Well, actually, I did. I got it in the mid-'80s. I think I've mentioned on previous episodes that, again, for people about to roll their eyes, yes, we know you got the Peter Criss album. It's the only one. You were playing with the Micronauts down in the basement. We all got that. Right. No need to repeat, even though I just repeated it. Mm-hmm. But in the I think in the mid-'80s, when I kind of ramped up my Kiss fandom again, and because when I was younger, I didn't have the money to buy all these records. Mm-hmm. I went and started buying all the records, and you and I used to go to the record stores and collect. And as a matter of fact, I have here, if you see how it has the sound savers? Those were like the 80s presses.
Yep. No, move it. No, move it to the camera that you actually used when we recorded.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I always do that. It's my LED light. I always do the camera here. But, yeah. So this is the, 80s print, which you could always tell that had the barcode on the upper, as opposed to the original ones that didn't have that.
And that barcode version is a little bit collectible, I think.
Yeah, that's what I found out. You would never think, and these were they had the generic clear sleeves.
Yep.
Although it did have the Paul Stanley, if you could see.
Yep, the label.
Sorry about my LED light, but you have to do anything to make me look a little presentable. But yeah, these were cool. So even though I had the 70s versions, and I think I have a bunch of these, and I have all the reissues and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. It was kind of cool to get a fresh, clean copy at that time, because unless you found one that was unopened, it was you wouldn't be able to get one of those.
And I did notice. Hold on, before you put it away, I did notice as you were holding it up, talking about a fresh, clean copy, the sticker in the top, what was it, right-hand corner, where you say what album it is, and it did say there, mint. So I just got a kick
original mint. Yeah, actually has a little water damage somehow. Ooh. You can see that it's runny and it's one of those things that part of my only this is with my Kiss records. And I would actually when we would go shopping, we would try to find the best copies, and I would put mint or near mint or very good, and it's just in my polluted I mean, listen, Kiss fans, we all know how we are with this stuff, right? I'm not the only lunatic.
No, you're not.
We love our Kiss. We love to collect this stuff, and it just every time I look at these record covers, album covers, it just still to this day amazes me what a great job Eduardo Eraldo Carugati did.
Yep, absolutely, and we'll talk more about that when we do our fifth and final solo album episode, the overview, right? So, but I agree with you. The artwork is amazing. Now, speaking of the cover and all of that, I'm going to use that word, but kind of shift gears a little bit on us. Do you recognize that the Paul Stanley solo album is the only one of the 4 that does not have a cover song on it?
I never thought about that.
I know, right? It's an interesting little fact,
Very
right?
good.
Most people don't realize that, but it is all 3 of the other albums have at least one cover song on it. So I find that a little interesting about the Stanley album.
Now, did you just rediscover that or discover that?
You know, I've always known it, right? I've always known that because, I mean, we know that Peter Criss has a cover tune, Tossin and Turnin', right? We know Gene did When You Wish Upon a Star. People forget that New York Groove actually is a cover tune. So when we were doing the Ace episode and we were talking about that being a cover, I was like, I kind of forget that. So I said, I got to bring that up when we talk about the Stanley album, that there's technically the only one of the 4 albums with no cover tunes on it. And,
That's
you know,
cool.
and I'll say to me, the amazing part about that and what I think about this, why I think this album is simply amazing. Think about Stanley as a songwriter during this time, right? I mean, he's putting out Love Gun. He's putting out I Stole Your Love. I'm talking right before this album, right? I Stole Your Love. He's written, Hard Luck Woman, I Want You, I mean, Tomorrow and Tonight. I mean, the songs this guy was producing at this time and writing, I should say, are phenomenal. Phenomenal. So for him to come up with an album of 9 songs, all new material, and for it to be as solid and incredible as it is, to me is a testament to, I think as a songwriter, this, in my opinion, is maybe one of his biggest peak times of his career because the songs he was putting out during this time are incredible.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And you think back even to 76 with Detroit Rock City, it's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing what this man was writing during this time.
This 2 or 3 year period, arguably was his best writing.
Yeah.
I mean, we all love the early, first Kiss albums. Like there's unbelievable tunes on that.
Yep.
But I get the feeling that a lot of these tunes, where the earlier tunes, there were more collaborations with Gene. The more Paul, like as far as I know, Love Gun, he's the only one credited to that.
Exactly.
Song, right?
Yep. Exactly. Yep. And even this song, he basically has, I think it's one songwriter with him on the entire album, right? That Michael Japp, which he actually wrote with Kiss, I think on Killers and on Creatures of the Night. I know he's on Saint and Sinner on Creatures of the Night as well, but that's it. Everything else on this album is straight up Paul. So, to me, that's kudos to him. We talk about the other albums, songwriters on those albums. Paul, this is Paul's album.
Now, are you familiar with where he came from?
I know he was around in the 70s. I think he had written with the Babies, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, obviously he wasn't a big name, but I think that's where the connection came from, I believe.
Who the connector was, we don't know. Who actually...
And forgive me, I have not read Julian Gill's book again recently on the solo albums. I'm sure it is in there. I just off the top of my head, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But let's jump in on some of the songs here, right? So this album starts with what does it start with? Tonight You Belong to Me and Move On. What are your thoughts?
Well, Tonight You Belong to Me, if that was a Kiss song, could arguably be probably, in my opinion, a top 10 Kiss song. I mean, that's how good I think this song is.
Yep.
It might be arguably, maybe the top 3 best songs that Paul ever wrote, and you may look at it that way. I mean, Detroit Rock City, Love Gun, and there's a bunch of tunes that we could cite. But what I love about this tune is how it starts and the way it ends. It's an incredible build. I always just love the 12-string guitar and the bass like melody that goes in his vocal, and then I think one of the other outstanding parts of the song is the guitar solo. As soon as you hear this guitar solo, that's not Ace Frehley. And I don't mean that anything against Ace, but you're hearing for the first time and listen, let's rewind. We don't know who Bob Kulick is. Right. There's no internet. You know, we don't know that he auditioned for Kiss unless it was mentioned in Cream or Circus,
Right.
or you know, whatever, you know, mag.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're hearing this, you know, great melodic guitar solo. There's no ripping through. It's just totally melodic. And when he comes out of the solo, and you know, Paul sings that line, "You belong," and it goes into that last verse, and it's also like this choir or some sort of choir background vocal thing going on. Really, and just the way it ends, it almost ends. It sounds like, you know, on a note that to me is almost like unfinished. You know,
okay,
dum 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 dum. You know, it's like it just. I mean, I think it's a great ending, but you know, this is just an incredible song. One of my all-time favorite songs in general. I just think that's how good the song is. And I was thinking about this when we were doing the other albums. I'm like, and we would go by every song. I'm like, and I'm already gonna like, all right, spoiler alert. There's no song on any other of the previous 3 records, in my opinion, that are better than this tune. That's my opinion.
Okay,
and as much as I love Rip It Out, I think Rip It Out is a phenomenal tune. I think the reason why I say that is there's just more sophistication in this tune. You know, it's just, and you know, sometimes you put a lot into something and it's overproduced, overwritten. It's not like that. It's just, you know, from where the song takes you in the beginning and where it ends, it's like it takes you across a whole journey. Where Rip It Out, it's right. You start and it doesn't deviate. You know what I mean? Great tune. That's what I'm just talking about. You know?
Yeah. Well, to me, this song is the formula Stanley uses on a couple of Kiss classics, right? So it starts off, like you said, the acoustic, and it kind of builds throughout the song, right? So Stanley started Black Diamond with acoustic intro, I Want You with the acoustic intro. Obviously, very different songs. I'm not saying that they're stylistically the same, but Stanley kind of liked that, it seemed like, a little bit in the 70s. Start off acoustic, and then, you know, I've seen people refer to Tonight You Belong to Me as a ballad. I don't. To me, it's not a ballad. I don't see how people say this is a ballad. This is a mid-tempo rock song. It starts off an acoustic thing, but it's a mid-tempo rock song to me.
And a great opening riff when that guitar kicks in.
It gives me chills.
You remember? It just did to me too. Do you remember that first time we saw it at L'Amour's and he did that? If I was floating in the air. You know, it felt like that. It was just like never hearing that song live.
Absolutely.
And him with Bob on the stage that time. Wow. Unbelievable moment. You know, one of the top, 10 moments of my concert, you know, viewing career. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I remember both of us were excited. The only thing I'll say, and then we can move to the next song, but both times he did this live on his solo tours, right? I just wish that he didn't have a damn keyboard player with him on those tours. I remember that was the only thing, especially the 89 one. The keyboards are a little bit too loud. This song is so amazing. I just don't want to hear those keyboards. But look, I'm so excited.
I don't remember that part of it.
You don't?
I remember that part of it? Yeah.
You were just so damn excited to hear the song live. But
probably, you know.
I've gone back and listened to the bootlegs a few times, and I'm just like, just lower that damn keyboard. It doesn't belong in this song, you know. But
you remember late '80s where we were with keyboards and records and stuff like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. But saying that, I feel blessed to have seen him perform it not once, but 3 times. I think twice in '89, once on the 2006 tour. So incredible song. I wish Kiss would have been doing it in their set list, like you said. Which actually brings us to the next song, "Move On." Right, so this is the one actually Kiss did choose to do on the Dynasty tour in '79. For me, I like this song. I think it's a very solid song. I think there's better songs than this on the album. That's not to say that this is a bad song. It's just, I guess that's how much I think some of the other songs on this album, how great they are. So what were your thoughts on this one?
I agree. I mean, it's a little bit above average tune, I wouldn't say. We always do our ratings when we rate like 1 to 10. I give it a solid 6, just quickly thinking about it, but whereas Tonight You Belong to Me is a 10,
right?
He's got that ending part with who are the female vocalists on that?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So actually, that is the first time with Kiss that there's Desmond Child and the Rouge, right? So obviously Desmond Child's not there, so it's the Rouge Girls. Yeah, so this is the first connection. I was going to bring this up, so this is perfect. You'd set me up here. This is the first introduction to people who were working with Desmond Child, and it is the Rouge Girls.
Maria Vidal, right?
Yep.
And Diana Griselli. Is that who it
Yep,
was?
yep, exactly. And just I'm going to segue for 10 seconds here that Maria Vidal is actually, because I just spoke with Desmond Child last week, that is the woman who the song Living on a Prayer, right, Gina, is based off of that woman, Maria. So there you go, just a fun little fact. So.
And for those of you who didn't see the Desmond Child episode,
thank you, buddy.
Right?
Go watch that. Exactly.
That was one of your best. Not that it always is on your performance, but there's certain guests that I usually get more excited for.
Right.
Not to deviate.
Watch
that episode.
Right. But so this is the introduction to, I guess, Paul Stanley working with the Desmond Child and the Rouge Band. So that's who's singing background on those songs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
cool.
I think
I never realized that.
Yeah. I bet you a lot of fans don't make that connection, but yeah, I think it's a good song. I think Kiss did it well on the Dynasty tour. I know Paul brought it back in 2006 on his solo tour. I thought he did it well there. I just think there's a couple of songs I like better than this. One in particular, when we get to it, that's never been performed live. That I wish maybe he would have done in 2006, but we'll get to that in due time, right? So
just looking ahead, I don't think it's the worst song on the record.
Oh God, no. This is a very solid song. There's a reason this album is great. If this is one of the lesser tracks, then that says a lot.
Right.
At least this is my opinion. So, but let's move to the next song then, right? So the next song is what? Ain't Quite Right?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this one?
It's very interesting. It doesn't sound like any other Kiss song as soon as you hear that opening guitar. I love Paul's approach on it. I love where the drums come in, they stop, and like the cool little bass. I love the choruses and like the Bob Kulick. He's doing that. He's doing like these little guitar parts after it ain't quite right, and he's doing it. And then it's got a really cool guitar solo, when the drums start kicking in. I think it's just a really interestingly written song by Paul. I like this song in the sense that I don't know if Paul said to himself, all right, I know what I did with Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, all these type of songs. Now I'm going to try to write something that people are going to hear it and it doesn't really sound like a Paul Stanley song. It doesn't sound like a Paul Stanley song until you know, oh, this is a Paul Stanley song, if you know what I mean.
Right,
and that's what I kind of like about this song.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I have read that, this is one of the songs he wrote with that Mikael Japp person. Yeah. And from what I understand, Mikael Japp still actually performs this when he's doing his own stuff, right? And I don't know, from what I've read, this is not 100%. This is a true collaboration. So maybe there's a part of it that doesn't sound like Stanley because maybe, half of the song wasn't written by him. It could have been the nucleus of the idea of the tune could have come from Mikael. Right, exactly. Now I'll say I did see Paul and Bob perform this acoustic on the cruise in like a private setting, and it was an impromptu thing. It was really cool. They didn't rehearse it, but I'll say for me, in terms of this album, this is the weakest song on the album for me. And I know there's some people are going to say, "Ooh, wow!" You said disagree or agree? I totally disagree. Yeah, I know. I know there's going to be a song on side B that everybody thinks is the weakest song. Oh yeah. Yeah. For me, this is the weakest song on the album. Yeah. For me. All right. Well. So, all right, then let's move to the next one then. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? Perfect. This is the 10. Yeah. This is a perfect 10. I love this song. I love when Kiss actually did it on the cruise a couple of years ago. I was so excited when they did this. Stanley's done it on both of his solo shows. I absolutely love this song. I think this song is amazing. I put it, you spoke about Tonight You Belong to Me, and they're right there. They're neck and neck. This is part of what makes this album incredible. Yeah, and if this was a Rick Springfield song, this would have been a major hit. Seriously, when I used to listen to this tune, I was like, what could this remind me of? Who could have done this song like that kind of? That's interesting. And this should have been a hit. That's very interesting. This is a great tune, and this is the song they should have done on their tour, in my opinion. Yeah, rather than Move On. Yep. I don't know why, and was this even released as a single? No. A single? Nope. I don't know what the record company was thinking. It's like, it's right there. I agree. Agree. I agree. Well, it's funny that you talk about it.
I love the way it kind of builds up and like it kind of like
Yeah.
fades in.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
with the drums, it's awesome.
Absolutely. No, I agree. It's interesting you're talking about, the fact this could have been a hit and, Rick Springfield may be covering it. Not this has anything to do with Rick Springfield or anything, but do you know who the original producer is that Paul wanted for this album?
You?
Oh, well, of course, besides me.
No, who was it?
Ron Nevison.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome to know.
At the time, Ron Nevison had only done, let me think, he'd worked with UFO, I think The Babies, and I think he did a Thin Lizzy album, if I remember right. I think those are the 3 artists only. So he was not the Ron Nevison that we all knew in the 80s. But I've read that was Paul's first choice for a producer. And I've often wondered sometimes, what would this album sound like with him at the helm? I'm glad he's not, because to me this album sonically sounds perfect. But it's interesting. I wonder a producer.
Careful there.
Why is that?
Let's not start picking on Ron, because you remember I defended Ron last time.
You did, yes.
Because that was 80s production. We're in 70s, and
absolutely.
And again, I don't have all the credits at hand, but Ron was an engineer on some of the greatest records.
Absolutely.
I want to say, like maybe it was Zeppelin or whoever. I don't remember, but he was a producer on those artists, but he had engineered from I think late 60s or early 70s. But I guess. Paul produced a bunch of tunes, and then there's a couple that were produced by Paul and Jeff Glicksman.
Yep. Yeah, so the reason that is like that, so it's a perfect time for you to bring that up. The first 4 songs were recorded in New York at, and
Lady?
What was that? Electric Lady, yeah. And supposedly they were not supposed to be the final versions for the album. They were going to be demos, if you will. But the band liked them so much, and we know Stanley, whenever he records demos, they pretty much sound just like the final product, right? So they ended up keeping it, but then they shifted the recording over to Los Angeles for what I'll say is the second side, the 5th song on, pretty much. So that's why there's those different production things there. The first 4 songs were in one session, if you will, and the next group of songs are in the second session. For me, sonically, it all sounds the same. I don't know for you, when you listen to the album, do you ever get like that sounds like it was different sessions?
Not much.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you have to think that hard, it can't
close.
be.
Yeah, I usually that's really obvious to me, but not much.
Yeah. So that's what that's about. But so there's a fun little fact about this album. Ron Nevison was the first one Stanley tried to approach to record this, and again, I'm happy with the way it turned out. No disrespect to Ron on that. So let's move to the 5th song and the final song on side A. Take Me Away Together as One. To me, this is a song when I was younger, I didn't appreciate as much as I do now. This song is a freaking powerhouse. Oh my God.
Yeah.
To me, this is another incredible song. The drumming on this, Carmine Appice, absolutely incredible. I love this song.
Now, is it Appice or the piece?
It depends on which brother you ask. I swear.
I know.
Which is crazy.
Right? Isn't it Carmine Appice and Vinny Appice?
I don't even know which one goes by which. So whatever. I went with Appice. Next time I might go with Appice. But No, but to me, this song is absolutely incredible. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and there's actually, I think somewhere on the internet, there is a version where the fade isn't as soon, and you hear Carmine doing some stuff at that end, man.
Yep, absolutely.
That is incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that he went to Carmine on this. And who played the drums on this whole record? They had a guy, Richie Fontana, great drummer, Craig Cram. These were all studio guys who played on tons of records. Yep. Great choices that Paul made. Paul made a lot of great choices on this record.
Agreed.
It wasn't as obviously as Starfill's as a Gene record,
right?
But Bob played guitar basically on everything. Nelson, not sure who he is, played bass guitar. Steve Buslow, Buslow, I know he played on a couple other pretty famous records. The bass player, but again, what a side one, man, right?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
The song you don't like is Ain't Quite Right, which you think, I guess, is Ain't Quite Right for side one, but I think it's quite fine. Yeah. right. I think they should rename it It's Quite Fine. You would listen to Ain't Quite Right. Mine would be It's Quite Fine.
It's Quite Fine. That's great. That's great. Look, I'm hard pressed to think of another album that has 3 songs as incredibly powerful as Tonight You Belong to Me, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, and Take Me Away Together as one. I hold those songs in such high regard that, again, I'm hard pressed to think of. I'm not saying that there are not albums that have such incredible sides as this, but those three songs, you said before there would be top 10 Kiss songs for you. Yeah. I think all three of those songs are in my conversation of top 20 Kiss songs. You know, if I'm including that's how great those are. So, you know, maybe some of those early Kiss albums, but damn, that's a good side. You know, if I could sit here and say, you know, something like Move On is just average on that side, you know, you've hit a home run. That's the way I say it. You know, I think if you put Move On, you know, some of these other Kiss albums, it might stand out, and you might say, hey, that's a really good song, but it's almost Move On's almost lost in the perfection of some of those other songs. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, let's turn the album over. Let's go to side B, and the first song is It's All Right. Now, this is the song to me that I'm always disappointed. Stanley just seems to neglect this. This is another one I think is a freaking amazing song. I love this song. Never performed live on his solo tours. This is one I would have loved to see him do in 2006 instead of Move On. You know, we'd seen Move On during the Dynasty tour. I just wish he'd play this song live. I love it. I don't hear any other Kiss fans talk about it. I must be in the minority. It's a step below those other three, but I think it's amazing. Great song. What are your thoughts?
So my thoughts is I'm trying to remember how to sing. You said when you said, I'm like, how does the chorus go in this song? I don't know. I'm having a brain fart.
It's all right if you want me. It's all right if you need me.
It's all right if you need me. If you want me to go. Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I'm thinking, I'm like, please, by the time he asks me, I know how the song goes.
Great.
Hold on, let me have a little sip of coffee. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
This is what happens on a Sunday morning when you've had little sleep, right?
No, this is a great tune. You're right. It's, again, a great kind of, you know, mid-tempo rocker.
Yep.
Kind of a little bit like the Wouldn't You Like to Know Me kind of, you know, side of tunes. Mm-hmm. Great vocal by Paul. The chorus is really strong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. This is a great song and a great, you know, side one opener.
I agree. Know? Side two opener, you mean?
Side two, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. I agree. I agree. This is, on this album, to me, this is one of the most overlooked songs. Even when Bob and Bruce did their show on the cruise, what was it? Kiss Cruise 7, I think it was, or 6. Bob didn't do this. I'm like, God damn, everybody just ignores this song. I wonder why. Yeah, I don't know. To me, like you said, it's right up there. I love it. It's like a poor man's Wouldn't You Like to Know Me.
Paul wrote this all himself?
Yeah, it's all Paul.
So it's not even like, because we know how Paul could be sometimes when he gets pissed off at somebody. He's
of course.
Anymore.
Of course. No. This is all Paul.
Yeah.
I think it's a great one. So I think it's a sadly overlooked song on this album.
Yeah.
Right? It's all right. So that brings us to the next song, the single off the album, which, you know, you talked before about Wouldn't You Like to Know Me should have been the single, and I fully agree with you there. This next song was the single. Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me When We're Apart. And look, Kiss fans, a lot of them don't like this song, and I have a feeling this is going to be your least favorite on the album. I actually grew up loving this song. I actually still like it. I think it's the only song on the album Stanley does the solo at the end. And I love the solo he does. It's very melodic. It's tasty. I didn't mind it was this cheesy piano-driven ballad. You know me, I was ballad boy as a kid. I love this song. I absolutely love it. I've seen Paul do it acoustic twice. I think it sounded great acoustic. I have no problems with this song. Everybody on the internet watching this, you can now start throwing eggs at me. I don't care. I love this song.
Yeah, so you're going to be wrong on this one. So this is a tune that I actually...
Okay.
No, I don't mean you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong about what you think, how I feel.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were saying every word you just said was wrong. No. So I'll tell you why I love this tune. And this was a song, as I started to get older, never even realized. I'm like, this is Paul Stanley? Like, as I remember maybe I was around 12 or 13 when again, because I didn't own the record, I was like, it just was so unusual. Other than Beth, we're hearing a piano and all that. But really what struck me is where Paul's voice sits in the verses. It's really like in a deep, you know. Yep.
And it's such a beautiful vocal in the verses. So and I love the song
Okay.
I love the
I
choruses.
did not know that.
You
Wow.
know,
Okay.
yes, I love the tune. And what I actually love about this song is the unusual nature of how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think there's going to be one more chorus,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because he does a solo,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like the usual solo spot, and then you
Right.
do one more chorus,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he goes,
Right.
ooh,
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, what he does,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then it just kind of ends. You're like, I want more. I
Right.
want one more. Like
Right.
I
Right.
always felt like,
Okay.
damn, I want like another, but maybe that's the beauty of the tune. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Paul's like, dang, song's over now.
Right. Right.
You enjoy my beautiful solo,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually, up until this point, didn't realize that was Paul who played. And
Okay.
again,
Mm-hmm.
let's just visit this really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Stanley solo on this, great solo. Now that I know that it's him, thank you for that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
His solo on World Without Heroes,
Mm-hmm.
incredible guitar solo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His solo on Sure Know Something,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sure, but I mean, whenever Paul did a solo, even his first half of I Stole Your Love that he did,
Mm-hmm.
is great.
Mm-hmm.
He's an underrated rhythm player. I've
Mm-hmm.
been saying that for years.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
given the chance for Paul to do a melodic guitar solo,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he came up aces.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see what you did there. I'm going to go so far. This is where I really get cartons of eggs thrown at me at one time. This might be my favorite Stanley guitar solo on any of his albums.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's such a,
I think that solo is like I could sing along with it. I think it's friggin' it's amazing. I'm not saying it's the best solo, right? Make sure people hear that properly. I'm not saying it's the best guitar solo on any Kiss album. I'm saying it's the best solo done by Paul on any album, in my opinion. I just think it's that good. I know Kiss fans hate this song.
solos I named a bunch of them. Which ones did I leave out?
Yeah, I know that he's done. I think it's Shandy is him. As well.
Intro, that's definitely him.
Yeah, and I love that.
Great.
That's another one to me that you could sing along to. So, I know there's a few others, but to me, this is the one. Like, I love this. I could sing along with this. I'm going to be so curious when we post this, how other Kiss fans react to this part of the conversation. Do people think we're absolutely nuts, especially me, who's given this such high regard, yourself as well, or do more Kiss fans really like this song than maybe I'm giving credit to right now? I just know when I read online, people always trash this song. And now, I don't think it should have been the single. I'll say that. I think it's a poor choice. I don't think it represents the album. And, to me, I think you hit the nail on the head. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me was far better choice as a single for this album.
Absolutely. Totally.
So that's that. All right, so then let's move to the next song, Love in Chains. I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts?
This is my least favorite song on the whole record.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's my. Yeah, I knew when we would talk about some of the other songs on the top, I was like, we haven't gotten to the song that I said. Remember, I said I think there's one worse than this.
Yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I just the chorus. I think I always remember when we were younger, you making fun of this chorus.
Yes. Yep. It's not one of my favorites either on the album. I Ain't Quite Right and Love in Chains. It's a toss-up. I could go either way with them being my least favorite.
Yeah, I just find Love in Chains. Ain't Quite Right musically much more interesting than this song.
I can understand that. I can totally understand it.
Yeah, not a fan. This is certainly to me a even for Paul a slightly below average too. Not horrible, but my least favorite of the whole record.
Yep, I can understand that. And, look, I was ranting before about It's All Right, never been performed live, not by Paul, not by Bob. This is another one that's never been performed live, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to hear this one live. It's album filler, I'm going to say, to me. It's not a bad song, but I'll say it's maybe even skippable to me. I don't love it. It's interesting because, I love this album. I'd put this in, like, my top 10 Kiss albums easily. But it's got a few songs that are just like, But the ones that are great are friggin' home runs to me. So it's interesting, that dynamic. And it'll be interesting when we do episode 5 and we rank our 4 solo albums. Of course, everybody always debates the Paul versus Ace. And we'll get into that in the next episode. So be interested to hear with like these peaks and valleys that we have on this album. How do we rate this? But we'll save that for the 5th and final episode in our solo album. It's not trilogy. I don't know what they call it when you do 5 things of one, but whatever it is.
You got to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't expect me to answer that one.
No, I don't. For the 5th and final episode, I'll have that terminology down. But I agree. This song is at best average to me.
Yeah.
So then that brings us to the final song. A little cliche, right? Goodbye. Mm-hmm. But a good song nonetheless. What are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is one that he would close his when he was doing his solo records, solo tour,
Mm-hmm.
which is perfect. I mean, just by title alone.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the bass line in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the verse, it's a really cool bass line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a not I wouldn't say top 4 or 5 maybe favorites of the record, but I think it's a solid tune.
Agreed.
It's a good album closer, obviously. It leaves you on a good note, and I have no problems with this tune. I can't think of a part. Doesn't it have some sort of breakdown in this tune?
Out on the run.
Yeah. I like that part. That's cool.
Yeah, no, I like this. Like you said, he did it on both of his solo tours. I thought it was great. My one thought when I think of this song that I complain about, it has nothing to do with the album, right? The song is good, the album is good. In 95, when Kiss did their acoustic thing, like across the United States and a little bit in Australia, they sometimes would do a Paul song and sometimes, most of the time, do a Gene song. So we know they did See You Tonight, which was the perfect choice from Gene's album. They would do Goodbye from Paul Stanley's album. And I'm just like, why Goodbye acoustic? And to me, I would have much rather hear them do Tonight You Belong to Me, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, a few others that, even something like Take Me Away acoustic would have sounded great. Even as much as not favorite, Ain't Quite Right acoustic, I just always felt on that tour they picked the wrong song from this album to do acoustic. But, I'm off on a tangent a little bit, but that's just a little thought that comes to mind with this song.
It could just be Paul's got a certain love affair with a certain song or two.
Absolutely.
I think it's just the way it is,
Absolutely. But I think it's a great song. I think it's a great album closer. It really, to me, wraps up this album very nicely in a nice little bow. Now, I think one of the interesting things, we know that there's always that debate, which album is better, Paul's Aces. And like I said, we'll get into that in the next episode. But did you know that this album of the 4 solos is the one that was on the charts for the least amount of weeks?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I find that interesting.
Crazy.
Paul, as the lead singer of the band, puts out such an incredible album, yet his album's on the charts for the least amount of weeks. I find that fascinating in some ways to me.
Well, I don't know, back in the day, the popularity of each character was. I mean, we know Gene was extremely popular
as a character.
Maybe it just came down to that.
Could be.
More people associated themselves with related to, not associated with the Peter Chris's or the Gene Simmons for their character. So I don't know.
Right. Yep. No, look, it could be. I'm just looking at the album, see if there's anything else that comes to mind that I wanted to bring up. No, I think you're probably spot on. That could definitely be it. So we always do this with each of these episodes. Your top 3 songs from this album. Right. I have a feeling I know where this is going to go, but what are your thoughts?
I think it's Tonight You Belong to Me, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, and Take Me Away. Take Me Away.
Yeah,
that's one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go.
I was thinking Hold Me Tight. But I think just as much as I love that tune, it's just the whole thing with the drums and the vibe of that tune is just incredible.
Agreed.
It just goes over, to me.
Absolutely.
You touch me.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to go with the same 3 that you just did.
Yeah.
I think had you asked me 10 years ago, I would have said Tonight You Belong to Me, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, and It's All Right, right? Because if you go back and look at my mixtapes from the 80s and 90s, every single one of them I have It's All Right on it, right? But I think in the last 10 years, I've just got such an incredible appreciation for Take Me Away, Together as One, that if I'm being honest with myself today, that would be in my top 3. But prior to that, that's how much I loved It's All Right. That would have been one of my top 3 songs from this album. So it'll be interesting to see what other people think. What are their top 3 songs from this album? I think overall, Kiss fans love this album, right? So it'll be interesting to see, to me, do people agree with you that Love in Chains is one of the weaker songs on the album, if not the weakest? And what do they think of our opinion on Hold Me, Touch Me? I think those are the 2 that I'll really kind of be curious to see how people react. Any other thoughts or comments you have on this album?
Just that again, it's it's kind of funny when you look back at how a record could have been a huge smash.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, you know.
Yep. Yep.
You know, we always knew that Kiss had this stigmatism with, majority of the mainstream, the Rolling Stones' magazines, and would never get any kind of coverage for a great record like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How they would put some other artists into such high regard, and it just got overlooked. It's just a shame, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? We as Kiss fans, we always have this kind of proud, allegiance to the band, and maybe it's cooler that it wasn't in a ways.
Right.
And the fact that we hold it in such high regard, and we love these records after all these years, and we didn't need that kind of push by the mainstream, radio, or that was being played. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a shame that, again, that Paul didn't get his due, or Ace maybe didn't get as much of his due for even his solo. I mean, yeah, New York Groove was a hit, but as we've said, Rip It Out is a tremendous song. And, if you're a Bruce Springsteen fan and you say, hey, you like that Ace Frehley song, Rip It Out, they'll look at you like, what?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
And that's a shame if, as a rock and roll fan, that, and I'm not saying every Bruce Springsteen, so Bruce Springsteen fans, calm down. I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying of those type of artists, generally are not huge fans of Kiss or whatever. But,
agreed. Well, to me, I think of this, right? And I'm going to go back to Move On for a moment, right? Because you said it was slightly above average. We always say 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. 5 is average, so you gave it a little bit above average. If you put the song Move On Animalize, second best song on the album, I would say. And would you rate it maybe an 8 because now it stands out as such a great song?
Yeah, I guess when you make it relative to some other stuff that was released.
Right.
On some of those other records. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. And look, like I said, it's not my top 3 either on the album, but I wonder if you put Move On another album, different concept. Sometimes I think some of the songs here could get lost because it's the perfection in some of these songs, and the top 3 that we both chose, I think are perfect. To me, they're 10, 10, 10. Those are just such incredible songs. So I wanted to make that comment as people think about, some of the overall comments we made on this album. I want to put that in context. As much as I think Move On, even Ain't Quite Right, I wonder if I would appreciate it more on a different album. On this album, for me, it's just like, it's my least favorite probably to listen to. But
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. If you put Ain't Quite Right on, I don't know, the Elder, I might feel a little different. Not as much as I like some of the Elder, but it might all of a sudden become a standout track. It wouldn't fit with the song, with the story. Obviously, I understand that, but I guess my point is I think it's testament to how strong this album is. And a little preview for as we go into episode 5 of this sequence coming up of what will we think about the Ace album compared to the Paul album, compared to Gene, compared to Peter. I think I know where you're going to land. We're going to save it for the next one, but
saving that. Yes.
And remember, as you let all of this percolate in your mind, the Stanley album is the only one without a cover tune on it. Does that count for something? Yeah. I think the one criticism I can make about this album is it's pretty short. And
I was looking over to count how many songs. Was it 9?
9 songs, and I think it's only like 33 or 35 minutes long. They definitely could have put another song on this, at least one. I wish there was more. I'm sure that 10th song would have been probably great as well. So that's my one criticism. I wish there was another tune on this one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
I agree.
But
definitely agree there.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for us. I look forward to people making their comments. Leave their comments below. What are your 3 favorite songs? What do you think of our comments on Hold Me, Touch Me? What do you think of what's your opinion of the weakest song on the album? I think a lot of people are going to say Hold Me, Touch Me, and let us know what you think. Again, check out our episodes that we do on the Ace Frehley album, we do on the Gene Simmons album, we do on the Peter Criss album. And coming up right after this one will be our wrap-up of the entire solo album project. So I think that's it for me. That's a wrap, unless you have anything else, buddy.
Nope, that's it. That's all I got for today.
All righty. Thanks, everybody, for watching. See you guys soon. Talk to you later. All righty. There you have it. Let us know what your top 3 songs are on this album. And also, let us know, are there any songs on this album that you don't like? Are we crazy for both of us liking Hold Me, Touch Me? Let us know your thoughts. We look forward to your comments. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.